Hey, everybody, friendly neighborhood Glenn here with a very special podcast today. Special, you say, why? It's Global Meetings Day, and the meeting scene in 2023 is a whole lot better than this time in 2020 and 2021. So we're going to talk about where we are, how excited it is to see that things are coming back, and give you all some of the strategies that you will need to be able to capture the meeting market that is emerging right now. And to help us do that today, I got the incredible Jen Chauvin, VP of Catering and Event Management with Aimbridge Hospitality, and Patricia Shea, SVP of Sales and Customer Success with Nolan. Ladies, it's so great to see you.
Hey, Glenn, great to be here.
Hi, Glenn.
Hey, and thanks so much for doing this with me today. A special extra no vacancy show. Later today, it's going to be our 750th episode. I wonder if this actually counts. We don't want to steal the thunder from that one, but let's get right into it. I got to ask you, Jen, you are out there, VP of Catering and Event Management. How are you seeing right now on this great day celebrating meetings? Where are we at?
It is amazing. We are at least 150% year over year increase in the business that's coming through the event space. So exciting time. And as we look at the macro trends across our portfolio of 1,500 hotels at Aimbridge across a number of different categories of hotels, it really gives us the opportunity to understand the trends that are happening out there, hearing the voice of the customer, and then doing such partnerships as we've done with this study with Nolan, where it's data driven, but then we've actually also taken a deeper dive into really listening to our hoteliers in workspace interviews and understanding what they're hearing from their clients and how it's affecting the way in which we change the business operation all around as the evolving needs of the event planners have changed. But overall, we're seeing things are booming, which is great in our business. Yeah. And it also lends for some creativity and some innovation. But our clients are back, they're strong, but they're also interfacing with each other and our space a little bit differently. So overall, that is going to affect how we service and how we deliver them.
All right, so we're going to get into all of those points, but Patricia, we got the anecdotal evidence about what's going on. What is the data telling us today?
It's exactly what Jen just described. So Nolan's data has tracked 150% year over year increase from February 22 to February 23. We are on track to see the same in March. And we're between 8 to 10% increase over 2019, which of course is what a lot of hotels continue to look.
Yeah, because that's the real number. 150%. That doesn't really mean anything to me in the context of what was there 2 meetings and a guy in a corner wishing he could meet with somebody, right?
That's right. But we're rocketing back to 2019 volume.
That is phenomenal. But I have to ask, Patricia, what are you seeing in the data? Because one of the things that I've seen is it's been a have or have not scenario over the last couple of years. Are we starting to see the big cities make a comeback now? Or is it still a story where some are benefiting much more than others?
That's a great question. So big cities are coming back, but large conventions are still lagging. So as Jen just described, a lot of the volume of meetings that we see are smaller, more regional meetings, sometimes more frequent, so smaller quarterly meetings instead of a large annual meeting. But as you can imagine, that has an impact, of course, on the major cities. And then the other piece that continues to change is booking lead times. And in this survey as well, both the data as well as the anecdotal feedback is that we're still sort of in short lead times. Things are still coming in, 3 months in advance, when we used to have much longer lead times. Which of course creates a lot of pressure on hotels and on services.
It's insane. And these booking lead times are shrinking and shrinking. In fact, I'm booking a hotel for last night. That's how tight these things are getting. But Jen, are you seeing that too? And how does that play out in the real world?
Sure. Great question. We actually are seeing very tight booking windows, but we're also seeing an adaptation in the experiences that we're building. Right. Meaning, again, we're seeing frequency of smaller type meetings, but they may be shorter as opposed to in the past, they may be 4 or 5 days, 3 days. Now they're coming in for 2 nights, a smaller program. So
to be fair, the bigger meetings only have that last day just to keep people there for the day before the last day. right?
True.
All right, go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's okay. So from an operations standpoint, what we're doing is working with our
right.
teams to really, it's a strong collaboration with understanding the goals and the objectives of the event producer,
Yeah.
of the meeting planner, and finding creative ways that we can fit that in a much smaller time frame.
Right.
And that often requires signature moments, signature experiences that are defined in our market or in our hotels. And then once those are templated, if you will, it gives us a great baseline to customize them and repeat them with very short runways. I mean,
Yeah.
the lead time, to your point, is wild out there right now.
Right. So, but Patricia, so is it that the smaller meetings are getting the quicker to closer to meeting booking times, because those big events book years in advance? So there must be something weird with the data, because if you book it 5 years ago and you're one of these massive citywide events, suddenly it's a very different scenario for you, right?
Yes, that's true, but it's the majority of meetings again are
Right.
the smaller meetings, right?
Right.
And so that's what's really filling up hotels in all level of markets.
Interesting.
I
Go
think
on.
one of the still somewhat unknowns is how we're going to look into 24 and 25, where
Mhm.
some of the big ones are on the books, but are the lead times going to start extending? And so as hotel sales teams are looking into 24 and 25, they're
Right.
starting to get a little bit I won't say worried, but curious about
Mhm.
whether they're not as full because the lead times are going to continue to be short, or
Mhm.
whether they really need to step on the gas for prospecting it into those future
Right.
years.
And Patricia, I think that leads into what Jen is experiencing, right? With having to be more creative. Because one of the trends that I've seen, and actually, Patricia, Nolan's reported this as one of the big trends. I recently used some of your data for a presentation I did up in Boston. And it was all about giving people a reason to get off the couch. So, Patricia, you're getting people off the couch at your portfolio of properties. What are some of those things that you were alluding to that tether you to that neighborhood that creates that, oh, I gotta go type of moment for somebody?
I think that's a question for Jen.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. Jen, answer that. It's late in the
There
day
you
for
go.
me, although it's early in the morning for you guys watching this. Go on. Sorry, Jen.
No problem. So Glenn, we are seeing one of the biggest trends is bringing that destination and bringing those outdoor influences into the hotel experience. We certainly have an opportunity as agendas are getting more creative, as people are adapting in the way in which they learn very differently, the
Right.
way in which we apply technology differently.
Mhm.
It has impact to all levels of our atmospheres when we're creating experiences, as well as how we're servicing food in the entertainment world, in the ability to
Yep.
captivate people, in the way that our new guests or our evolved guest needs are to network a bit differently, or to have shared experiences in which they connect. Keep in mind that again, a lot of our clients have changed their work environment.
Right.
So coming together to these smaller regional meetings is very big impact to them. Not only that, but it really speaks of their culture. So in building that culture, we're working with the hotel teams. Again, it's paramount for that partnership with understanding the client's needs and the resources in market, but making the outdoor come in as you've stated, and really doing that with, it can be anything from artists in residency, it can be learning classes together, shared experiences, food and beverage that's very locally sourced. But
Right.
it's a very, as we outline these 6 trends that are very global that we're seeing, many of them interplay, and it's the ability that's driven by innovation and creativity, and truly the opportunity to have the outdoor in, and then have those Instagrammable moments that we talk about, the no barrier agenda that we talk about,
Right.
but really unique opportunities to build the experiences that not only keeps the revenue in house, but keeps the hotel as a destination driven, as a hallmark of the unique market that they're in.
Right. So basically what you're talking about, all the findings that came into the What's Hot meetings and events for 2023, which was co-branded by you at Aimbridge and you folks over at Noland as well. So some of the big trends in there is all about, right, creating what you call the next Instagram moment. We'd been seeing that for a while, but now it's a lot more. Hot trend number 1, the no barriers agenda. Sorry, I sounded very New York there for a second. barriers. And it's okay. I can make fun of New Yorkers. I'm one of you. It's all right. So, Patricia, what does that mean to you, the no barriers agenda?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about people no longer sitting shoulder to shoulder in ballrooms and sort of stuffed inside all day.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the results and the feedback from this survey, it really resonated with me personally. I mean, after 2 years of COVID, I'm a lot more selective about when do I travel, when do I spend time away from family, and what's the experience going to be like when you're there. And so meeting planners and companies are putting a lot of pressure on hotels to help them to make it really worth it for their attendees to set time aside. And so it was really interesting to hear from all the folks at Aimbridge the different ways that either meeting planners are coming with ideas, or they're really coming to hotels and saying, help us make this really special.
Right. And I'll tell you what, you are all so on fleek, as the kids are saying these days. The example that you have here, using puppies. I was at the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference, and one of the major hotel brands had a puppy happy hour, and everybody got to play with the puppies and they could adopt them. Jen, I know you got more to say about that.
That also delves into the wellness aspect that we're highlighting in the report as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the holistic approach to keeping people connected. But the No Barriers really talks about our event teams becoming more designers of experiences and really understanding the unique spaces. And to Patricia's point, not putting 5,000 people shoulder to shoulder in a ballroom anymore, but really understanding the goals of the time that they're spending together and delivering that differently. So we know coming out of the last 2.5 years, outdoor space and leveraging outdoor space is a hallmark. So how are our teams doing it creatively? How are we engaging all of the senses, carrying through the client's branding, the color palette, in the way in which the textures, the lighting, the soft seating, again, from a neuroscience standpoint, engaging our clients and our customers differently to help them retain the information, to help their productivity, and then obviously to make a stronger ROI for the investment that the company has made overall. But it really lends to, again, some great parking lot parties, some great, interesting, unique spaces. Sometimes that's our club lounges, sometimes it's BDRs and restaurants, but really taking atmospheres in a whole different, no barrier, non-traditional way to really create those connection points.
And I've seen this in events that I've been attending over the last few years. For example, at the lodging conference last September, they had a 1960s themed party and they had a VW bug out front. And it was great because I was able to take some great pictures in there. It was a capturable moment. Again, back to your thing. I'm living what you guys are reporting on. And it's all about curating branding. They understood exactly what that was. I shared it, and that picture has become part of my life now that I took there.
And Glenn, not only to your point, but those are the types of moments that you remember and are strong. And look at how much you just lit up and talking about that experience.
You want I will see myself and ante up the ante there. Wyndham every year at Alice does a great party with food trucks, right? So that's awesome because you get that In-N-Out burger. It gets it gets my fix. And producer Dave, they are better than Habit Burger. But anyway, I digress. So Jen, I have to ask you. You were talking a little bit before about really doubling down on local flair, which is hot trend number 3. How do you see that?
So it's all about storytelling. And again, a lot of these trends have interplay and the opportunity to really pull on the event professionals in market and the partnerships that we have with either flavors or known dishes, music in some destinations, and really pull that through to the client experience. Again, is going to make that a very unique opportunity to be memorable, increase that guest engagement, increase those social media moments where, again, they're spreading it. They're becoming advocates of our hotel, of our operation. And again, that we become known as a hallmark, as a signature moment with those partnerships that are local. Very hyper local. And it all comes around the branding and the storytelling that we have. Because we're putting this effort in, we have to connect the dots at times with our customers.
Listen, I know I sound hyper right now, but for sure it is all about local. And I can't tell you, Jen, how many trips I've taken in my career. And people are like, oh, what'd you tell me about the city? I'm like, it looked nice from the cab. Exactly. But I can tell you every detail about that ballroom, So That makes it really sad. But Patricia, the Nolan data really allows people to leverage those local destination insights, right? How does that work?
That's true. A lot of hotels are not just competing with, the hotels right around them, but also with other destinations.
Hmm.
And so it's on the shoulders of the sales team, not only to sell their hotel, but a lot of times to sell their destination to meeting planners. And I was struck in everyone's comments about how new most meeting planners are to their roles. The majority of planners they're working with have only been in their seat for between 1 and 3 years. And
What?
85% of them are doing multiple jobs. So the individual hotel salespeople
Wow.
are really taking the lead on educating them about destinations, educating them about what's available in their local market, really becoming not just a salesperson, but in a lot of ways a concierge for meeting planners who are really busy and trying to do 3 or 4 different jobs at their organization.
Wow.
And
Jen,
that
how
goes
do you
back to
compensate?
I'm sorry, that goes back to having
Mhm.
the partnerships in market and really becoming an illustration of what the market has to offer,
Right.
especially when we're going market to market. And the ability, again, to have these people that many of them have used technology to connect more so than ever before in the last 3 years. But as event professionals that are selling and servicing the experiences, really
Mhm.
creating that environment for our meeting producers that yields to a result they want, which is truly their people connecting in a whole different way when they're
Right.
actually remembering what they're doing as opposed to the traditional just ballroom reception of
Uh,
years gone
y-
by.
and I'll tell you, those events become really fungible over time. If it's just wash, rinse, repeat, you've got to
Mhm.
create something. And one of the big trends that I've seen over the last 20 plus years of my career is that notion of bragging rights. You're not going to believe what I did,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And in a world where so many experiences are accessible, you really have to up your game even more in order to create those moments that are going to stay in that head of yours, because they're competing against so much else. But it's also really cool. Hot trend number 4: pop-up boardroom, inside or out. That's really interesting to me. How do you all see it?
Well, again, we talked about how outdoors and
Yeah,
embracing outdoors not only perceived as a safer environment, which again, data has shown, as science
right.
has shown.
But I always
So
saw it as a team building event, not let's have a productivity meeting before.
very true. But now it's again that backed with the neuroscience about
Mm-hmm.
people as they're becoming more and more comfortable in their space that they're
Mm-hmm.
learning in and in small bite-sized elements of learning, that information is going to be retained. It's going to be stronger when they
Right.
walk away from the experience. So I think those are two that are driving that force of outdoors as well as non-traditional meeting space. Again, some
Right.
great restaurant patios that we're using, some great opportunities to, in some cases, go really lo-fi outside
Mm-hmm.
because they will have been learning against each other, using all of our connectivity, overstimulated with what we do on a daily basis with computer and technology. So then
Right.
let's take those group outside and do, I think one of the examples we gave in the study was the grays and games. Again, connecting differently, learning from each other and those shared experiences that are
Mm-hmm.
really hallmarks of looking at business and looking at
Right.
productivity.
All right.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable question. Which one am I? I'm just kidding. So, Patricia, I understand that Nolan really allows hotels to target groups 25 people or less. What a sweet spot. That's really perfect for these types of meetings. How do you see that?
Yes, more than 80% of the events that we have in Noland are in that smaller range. They
Hmm.
can fit in a lot of different types of hotels. They can fit in a lot of unique venues, but they're not always those big groups that that folks at hotels know about. They're new, they're emerging, and
Hmm.
so hotels need easier ways to get access to those customers and to the meeting planners.
Yeah, that's excellent. And go on, Jen.
In tandem with that, again, we're looking at our operations because of these
Hmm.
evolving needs of the
Right.
smaller meetings. We're
Yeah.
looking at our operations different. So where
Yeah.
can we activate space that normally wasn't or traditionally wasn't activated?
Hmm.
And again, that might be club levels, that might be outdoor courtyards to creatively expand our meeting square footage,
Right.
but meet the evolving need of what our customers are looking for.
Yeah, and that's really essential. And one of those things that they're looking for is the last big trend, and we've been dancing around it. It's because it's kind of been incorporated into all these other trends that we're seeing: health, wellness,
Mhm.
environmental impact, ethics, all of that kind of stuff. Patricia, so I'll ask you, how does the data show that this is what groups are really looking for, and how do you leverage that information?
Yeah, I mean, it is so important to organizations today that wherever they go to hold their meeting,
Hmm.
the location is really reflecting the values of that organization.
Right.
And I think it's not just sort of changing values coming out of COVID, but also as the workforce continues to get younger and younger.
Right.
Really addressing the important needs of all of the attendees.
Yeah, absolutely. And politics gets involved as well, such as when Major League Baseball moved out of Georgia, the All-Star game, for example, right? So they lost that business, they moved it somewhere else, but I'm sure other cities that have opposite political thoughts lost stuff too. So you just have to kind of be aware of all of this kind of stuff. It's very critical, I think, in the future to really just understand what's going on. Be Switzerland, don't take any sides, but be aware, right, Jen?
So when we talk about wellness, we really
Yep.
talk about not only the environment,
Yep.
but what we're doing to aid in the productivity. So a lot of that comes through interesting creative moments like working with the event producers to enter refreshment breaks that also may have mind refreshments in them, or
Right.
yoga, wellness classes, the
Mhm.
way in which we menu engineer to make sure that we're not loading everybody up with carbs in the
Uh,
unproductive afternoon, but
Mhm.
instead leveraging local superfoods and really engaging in the moments that want to be sparklers and highlights of the meeting, and making sure that environment is creating one that is fostering health and wellness for not only the mind, the space, the body, and so forth. So there's more productivity. You're going to see more and more. We have a lot of chief wellness officers that are coming through. Ambridge has one in our evolution division.
Oh,
There's a lot
cool.
of health officers that we're seeing with clients as well. 2 years ago, that might have been the person who was responsible for the COVID protocols and so forth, but that's evolving now so that that person is involved in the design committee of these various meetings and events to make sure that, again, we're looking at the holistic approach of these attendees' time away from their home, away from their families, and making sure that it's enriching them, both not only from education standpoint or the goal of the meeting, but also making sure that they're in a healthy environment for their mind, body, and soul. It's exciting.
That's excellent. I love it. Patricia, anything you want to add to that?
I'm excited to attend events at Ambridge Hotels. I mean, it's a really refreshing change, I think, in the way we're approaching meetings and events.
All right, so one last topic to talk about is creative team building events. I feel like you got to offer more than people a chance to go on a zip line these days, although that's fun. That's fun too. Patricia, how do you see that trend?
Yeah, so I smiled. One of the DOS's responses was about a group that wanted to use the pool for a team building event, and we have
Right.
actually done that in Noland for one of our team building events. We had
That's
to
fun.
build boats and race them across the pool.
Mhm.
You get a very quick view over who is the most competitive on your team with that.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen, what about you?
There's a lot of different ways that groups are looking to actually leverage their time together. And I think we certainly are way far away from the historical just a reception, but they're looking to create shared experiences. So in
Right.
some cases, that's driven by our influence of HGTV and all of the food competition networks that we're having a lot of fun with in many markets, where we're having attendees actually have a food competition, whether it's building their own pizzas or salsa, things like that, where they're actively engaging with each other and then
Right.
shared experience together. There's opportunities. We're doing a lot of learning, again, from the culinary standpoint or from the artist in-house standpoint, some shared lessons, some opportunities to create a piece of artwork to go home to families. Those are great, as well as giving back to the community that we're in. Some opportunities exist for clients to either go off property and refresh a learning center or collect work at a food kitchen, things like that.
That's cool.
Or on property, create first responder kits, but have an activity that's not only is it productive for the teams to share in the environment and really get to know each other in a team building way, but it resonates with the community long after they've gone.
I love
Our
that.
hotel teams really, again, the partnerships that we have in market and knowing that those partnerships can be leveraged for our guests certainly sets us apart and again makes a great memorable experience for our guests to take home with them.
Yeah, when before I started this company 7 years ago, I was working for an organization that did regular events, and every single one of those events, they did peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for charity. And it was great because they did it where everyone competed against each other. So you had teams of like 10 people or whatever it is, and everyone laughed and bonded and did something good for the community which they were in. And I think that really is what you're looking for in a meeting, to make people feel productive, learn, and feel good about being with each other and doing good for other people, right?
Absolutely. Throw some music in the background and gamification, and adults are all over it. They're loving it, but they have that to talk about, and that back to the community long after we're gone.
I love that. So of course we're talking about what's hot in meetings and events for 2023, but the cool part about this is it's not just the trends. It's really about that operational perspective as well. And I got to tell you, I've never seen that before in a report. Pretty interesting, because you don't just make the observation, you give actionable insights as well, right, Patricia?
Yeah, I think it's becoming, more and more challenging environment for hotels to deliver on all of the changing needs that we've described today. And so the report really focuses in on how can they not just create a great experience, but manage to the operational impacts of that.
Beautiful. And I can tell you what they said, but I'm not going to, because you guys out there have to go ahead and download that report. Plus, you're going to want to refer to it time and time again. It's on the homepage at knowland.com. That's KNOWLAND for those of you listening that don't know how to spell it. Any final thoughts on this day we celebrate meetings? Jen?
It's a fantastic day for our industry, and it's exciting to see this initiative grow year over year. And it's great to see partnerships like what we have with Nolan. So that way, not only can we look at the future with data, but then also drive down across our portfolio and truly understand the voice of the customer and how to engage that as we build stronger overall as an event community. It's a great day for all of us.
Beautiful. Patricia, final thought?
I don't think I could have said it any better than Jen. We really enjoyed creating this report together with Ambridge, and we're very excited for what our industry holds moving into the future.
Beautiful. Well, thank you both so much for being here. I know that you probably have a meeting to go to or something like that right now. So thanks so much. We'll see you. We'll see you real soon. I want to thank all of you for watching. Be sure to download our show. You can get it on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you get your shows. We are there. This month, we're getting close to 100,000 downloads. Please help us achieve that goal of 100,000 audio downloads, plus our lots of video watches as well. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Download the report. Go to knowland.com. That's knowland.com. And don't ever forget, you've got one life, so blaze on. And as Anthony would say, be kind to yourself. See y'all later.